Commence primary ignition.
Hey, I'm actor Chris Bartlett from The Mandalorian, The Book of Boba Fett, and Obi-Wan Kenobi, and you're watching Virtual Cantina Network.
Hi, everyone. Happy Saturday. I'm Mark Von Olen, Director of Programming here at the VCN, and I'm joined today by Gary O'Toole from Blob of the Hut. Gary, how are you?
How are you? We're back again.
Back again. In the countdown of celebration. We're 20 days out from the big show. Thank you, everyone who's joining us to talk about all of the vendors that are coming to Celebration. We did the panels last week, and you know what's so funny? Every YouTuber covered the panels last week. Everyone I follow. Star Wars Explained had an equally long episode going one by one through all the panels. We all had the same idea. I don't want to say our show was the best, but it was my favorite. And we got a lot of questions after the fact as to like what's going on with the panels. And then apparently there was some uproar over the panels. So it was quite the week. What did you think of the, I want to use the word fiasco?
Yeah, let's be honest and let's call a spade a spade. If this is your first celebration, we are, or maybe it's your first big con in general, we are so sorry that you had to go through something like this. But unfortunately, for those of us who are, let's say, veterans and have been there, done that, and worn the t-shirt, this is of no surprise to us at all in any way, shape, or form. There is always something along the lines like this that happens. We had this now, and then at Celebration in London, the security situation was a fiasco. People that queued earlier, one line was let through willy-nilly and another line were checked. So at every sort of celebration, there's always a bit of a fiasco. And unfortunately, and maybe people will forgive my Irish bluntness here, but that's not the only thing that you're going to have to complain about at this celebration. Nothing ever goes fully according to plan. So particularly with this event, you'll get out of it as much as you put into it. So don't let the negatives get you down. You know, meet up with like-minded folks, have a blast, and you will enjoy the con. But there will always be some hiccups along the way. Unfortunately, this just so happened to be an enormous one, but it's out of your hands entirely. It's the way the machine goes as such.
Yeah, you hit a couple things that I was thinking in my head. One, it's out of your hands, most importantly, right? Like this is not something that we have a lot of control over. It's sort of organized by ReedPop and Disney and everyone else, and it's always kind of a mess with scheduling panels or autographs or photo ops. Like you never know what's going to happen with the time frames and everything. And then even if things don't go according to plan, which I remember saying last week, make sure you have a contingency plan. The thing that I always take away from Celebration more than anything else, more than the panels, more than meeting the talent, it's the friends you meet at the show, the hanging out, the camaraderie, the just walking around on the floor. And I always mention my favorite part of London was not anything to do with Celebration. It was the Cantina event at the O2 that Martin and everyone else put together. Like that was the best part of Celebration, at least for me. In fact, I got to have lunch with Brian Herring last weekend, actually last Sunday. So right after we had our show on Saturday, I saw him the next day. He was in New York for a week, and we were talking about that. He's like, "Oh yeah, I remember seeing you toward the end of the night. You were pretty drunk," and I was like, "Oh God." I was. It was a party for sure.
And if you're hanging out with Herring, you know, they see you rolling, they hate him.
He's the best. So for anyone in the chat who might not know the name, Brian Herring is the puppeteer for BB-8, bunch of other cool characters, works in the Creature Shop. He's awesome.
Really nice guy, and very active on social media as well. A lot of good participation and interaction with the fan base, which is great.
Yeah, he's fantastic. He signed trading cards for us at Topps all the time. Did appearances. I brought him to Celebration 19. Like he's done a ton of stuff. I got to see him in Anaheim. We were trying to remember like when's the last time I saw you, and I was like, "All right, it was London at the O2 at 1 o'clock in the morning. It was good times. Reynold, you have the right idea here. That go with the flow and just have fun is really what celebration should be. It's a combination of meeting celebrities, going to panels, shopping, but most importantly, hanging out with other Star Wars fans. Like that's the big thing.
Well, luckily with this one, shopping is going to be an enormous thing, because I think one thing that there is a lot of choice and variety with is the vendors. And at this
Mhm.
celebration, there are a lot.
There's so many. And with that in mind, we are going to jump into it right away. And if we get caught up in other topics along the way, we love a tangent over here. We'll just go off about something. I didn't think there was anything big in the Star Wars news we really needed to talk about that was like gigantic, or at least on the celebration front. So right now they've announced all the panels, they announced all of the vendors. I think on our next episode, we're going to talk a little bit about the artists and then probably the exclusives. And then there are other little events happening around. Like I mentioned last week, Denuo Novo is not attending the show, so you won't find us in this vendor list I put together. But I'm part of like a digital scavenger hunt. And I don't think that's been like formally revealed yet what the details are. You have to like scan a QR code and shit like that. So there's more of that that's going to be revealed soon, or maybe even at the show.
Very surprised even how quiet they've been on the pin trading side of things. I
Mhm.
thought that would have been pushed a heck of a lot more as well.
Yeah, I
Says
agree.
says the pin collector.
Yes. Well, Fig Pin will be there, which is very
Yes.
exciting. So we'll get to them. I'll let you do that slide. So we are going to jump into the presentation. What we did was we went onto the Star Wars Celebration website. We grabbed the logo of the company and wrote out exactly what the celebration site had to say about them. Visited the website to see like what the situation is related to Star Wars for a lot of these brands. Because I don't know about you, Gary, but I didn't recognize like a third of them because a lot of them are local to Japan.
Yeah, a lot of them didn't recognize some familiar faces there, obviously, but I think that's going to be part of the fun of this as well, is getting to see new vendor stalls and take in what's actually at the event, which
Hmm.
is so cool.
Yeah. And there's a mix of manufacturers, um, retailers, individual creators. It seems we didn't put the artists on here. That'll be a separate thing. But we're gonna try to fly through them because there's like 70 vendors. So we're gonna move pretty fast. And then if there are any that are really interesting, we'll stop and talk a little more about it. So the first one up is a new dope. This is a must-visit store for Star Wars fans, offering collectible items from around the world: statues, figures, vintage toys, ornaments, ceramics, promotional items, chosen items from all over the galaxy, no matter which part of the era it belongs to. And then there's a link to the website. And you can find that link on the celebration site. I will tell you, multiple links did not work, and Google was my friend. I was shocked. And also, a lot of this stuff is translated from Japanese with no zhuzhing by the Read Pop team. So some of if you think the text is hilarious, it's translated, but no one bothered to like give it a little once over in English. But this is a store, and it looks like they have a nice array of stuff.
And it just goes back to what people have been saying online about it would be nice if the website maybe flowed a little more or was updated a little bit more, but that's just another
Mm-hmm.
thing
Well,
that we have to contend with.
Well, here's what's so interesting. If you go into the exhibitor section and then you open up a new tab and you start with like a new dope, you would think like clicking the next button would bring you to the next exhibitor alphabetically. And it just brings you to the next thing alphabetically, not necessarily vendor. So you could hit a couple vendors in a row and then all of a sudden you're on a panel or an artist or something. I was like, well, I want to stay in vendors and make my way through the list. So the functionality is making me crazy.
Yeah.
Um, Next up.
So this is one I have used before. This is Action Plastics. They are UK based and they are Europe's #1 supplier for Star Wars figure and ship display stands for vintage and modern collectors. So if you go onto their website, I've actually bought some of you'll see the small little circular plastic stands for the figures. They do the likes of stands, they do collector's cases, protective boxes, things of that nature. So very, very popular, very cool, and prices are actually quite reasonable. So that's one that I would recommend checking out if you are a collector.
And they have bespoke sizes and shapes to make it match for Star Wars packaging. I used to, when I collected Masters of the Universe Classics, there was another company that did a similar thing where it's like, here are the plastic boxes that specifically fit that cardboard box. and it looks like they have more than just Star Wars, but they definitely have all your sizes and shapes and everything needed for Star Wars, and Funko protectors as well.
Yeah, I'm living in hope that they might actually do a stand for the HasLab Ghost, because at the moment I literally finally broke it open the other night and I finally got it boxed up. So a little trick I seen online was I'm actually displaying it using a guitar stand.
Yes, I've seen that. We did that for our jetpacks to Nuo Novo. Mine is in my coffee table. It's a 2-tier coffee table with glass on the bottom. It's a glass top and with a shelf on the bottom, and it like barely fits. And
Yeah.
it's fine. And I think that was the right idea. So then it could just like always be in the living room.
Yeah, easiest way to do it.
Chris, you're gonna love the last one. The next one we're talking about. It's actually A&A. Oh, you're talking about APA. Yeah, I understand the concern about set a budget, and that's not just for Chris. That's for everyone. Oh man, this comment is covering your face, Gary. You look like Mike Wazowski from Monsters Inc. The uh, the plan with all of these vendors is visit all of them, check them out, especially the Japanese specific ones, which are largely apparel based. And see what they're all about, but set yourself a little budget and figure out like what you want to spend on and um, bring home with you, and create some space in your suitcase too.
Yeah, definitely. You want me to take this one?
Yeah.
So this is ANI. This is the All Nippon Airlines. So they are describing what's going on here as complete the ANA Pocket App check-in challenge to stand a chance to win an ANA R2D2 C3PO or a limited edition BB-8 model plane. So for those who maybe might have seen pictures of Star Wars livery on certain planes, it's usually the ANA that are painted in the different liveries. They've got like an R2D2 one, they've got a BB-8 one, and I think maybe a 3PO one as well is the actual ones. And also here it looks like we've got a specialized ANA cards if you sign up for a membership package. So something similar to like a regular airline card, and this is their variation of it.
I love a Star Wars credit card. I've had a Darth Vader credit card in my wallet for a long time, from Visa. And it's actually a Disney rewards card, right? So then you can use more money in the park and all that kind of stuff. I still have some money bank that I got to spend there, so I got to remember to do that eventually at some point. Maybe in Orlando in 2027. All right, next up, Atmos. I think a lot of people know Atmos already. Inspired by the word atmosphere, opened in Harajuku, Tokyo in 2000. They have a sneaker wall, sneakers, t-shirts, apparel, right? And I think one of the things you're going to find at the show in particular is Japanese specific apparel companies. I've mentioned this at other when we've prepared for London, actually. The thing that gets localized most frequently in terms of consumer products is anything wearable. So apparel, t-shirts, those are very geography specific, whereas action figures and other collectibles are usually like a global thing. Pins, Funkos, action figures. You may get some like market localization regarding packaging, and maybe even size and due to safety regulations. But for the most part, like the Hasbro action figures are like a global thing, whereas apparel is very country specific. And in this case, it looks like there's a specific aesthetic that Atmos is doing with these t-shirts. There are a lot of all over prints and stuff like that.
And this art style would be totally outside the norm, so some highly sought after collectibles, no doubt, within Atmos.
And I know them first and foremost as a sneaker company. But yeah, curious to see what they're going to do with the Star Wars license. By the way, everyone here in this list should be doing Star Wars specific product. Doesn't necessarily mean that if you click through their website that you can find Star Wars in there. Google Translate will translate these sites, but some of them are a mess. And some of them don't even have Star Wars on there from what I can tell. So your guess is as good as mine as to what's going to show up at Star Wars Celebration.
That's going to be part of the fun as well,
Yeah.
is solving that mystery.
Yep.
So Audio Technica, anybody who is a vinyl collector like myself will predominantly know them for their record players and turntables, but they also do, as we can see here, pretty cool headphones. So founded in 1962 with the mission of producing high quality audio for everyone. Built upon our analog heritage, we design critically acclaimed products to enrich people's lives. So I wouldn't be surprised to see a Star Wars inspired turntable of some sort, or perhaps some exclusive headphones as a ultra limited edition. That would probably be the most likely in this instance.
I've noticed a big uptick because of YouTube culture and streamers. They have accessories attached to their headset, like ears and stuff. Like how there aren't Ahsoka ears and like Mickey Mouse ears and that type of stuff that's specific to headphones, not just like wearable headbands. I'm surprised that no one has licensed that category. Like that seems like a no-brainer to me.
You would see certain ones, like you might see like like a child's Hello Kitty with little ears or
Mhm.
something like that, but nothing, let's say, for this generation, or whether it's gamers or anything
Yeah.
like that.
I mean, I see a lot of gamers wear cat ears, fox ears. People love an ear, right? Which
Hmm.
is why Mickey ears are like, if I were in consumer products on the other side of this, I would be looking at that and being like, who should our licensee be? We can make a killing. There's so many streamers who would love to wear like Ahsoka ears while doing their podcasts and stuff. Like that one to me feels like a no-brainer. So who knows? Who knows what Technica is gonna reveal at the show? Maybe something like that'll be coming. Um,
No
next up
surprise
on
here.
yeah, I think it would be awesome. By the way, we're asking everyone who's at, so Gary and I are not attending the show in Japan, as we've mentioned numerous times, but we will be doing the news desk and everything else, keeping the home fires burning as they were. But if anyone's out there and finds cool stuff, please DM them to me because maybe they'll make it into my nightly slideshow. Maybe I will want to buy something and we'll Venmo you money. We'll find out. All right, Bandai, I think everyone already knows who Bandai is. They do action figures, collectibles. They're going to have a range of Star Wars products. I don't often think of them as a Star Wars licensee. Like they're an anime, uh, I mean,
I think
cartoon.
like Bandai, I just think Power Rangers more than
Yeah,
anything else, really.
Sailor Moon, maybe. Like,
Yeah.
so I'm curious to see what this translates to in Japan and at Celebration. So keep us posted. If there's some Bandai collection coming for Star Wars, that would be amazing.
Billy Galaxy Vintage Toys and Collectibles. So, described as a worldwide service to collectors of vintage toys and collectibles since 1995, they do an interesting selection of rare and unusual items, including Kenner, Takara, Tops, and more. And they also buy, sell, and I don't know whether this is the first one I've seen where they are potentially interested in trading some collectibles.
Hmm.
So, pretty common in some independent stores where they will trade you for certain items that may be of interest to them and give you credit for items you're looking to purchase. But correct me if I'm wrong, is this the only one that we've seen that is offering the trade? I don't think I remember seeing any other exhibitors that are doing it.
That was the only one I saw. And,
Yeah.
their official website links to their Instagram. So they're obviously a small scale kind of operation. So I think that like I see the guy in his hat on Instagram. He's like a real person, not like some nameless, faceless corporation. I'm sure if you wanted to trade something and have a conversation with him at the booth, that's totally doable.
And if you're looking for a bargain or something rare and unique, this would probably be a good spot to hit from the
Hmm.
get-go.
Yeah, he looks fun. Um, his booth executions are really cool. And he definitely has some interesting, weird stuff. So those are always like the treasure hunt kind of things at these shows.
Yeah, definitely.
Next up is Blitzway. I had never heard of them before.
Mm-mm.
They're a Korea-based figure company, and they have a global partnership with world's top IP companies, as well as its exclusive product quality, followed by global fandom. Again, translations. So I left things exactly as is because I don't know how to speak on Blitzway, right? But I went to their website. They have statues and all sorts of interesting stuff. They reminded me of Sideshow and Hot Toys.
Mm-hmm.
I can't vouch for their quality or anything like that, but based on what I saw online, they do look really interesting. Tried to throw in pictures of stuff where they're available, and I did see an Obi-Wan and an Anakin. So I assume that you will see that stuff in Japan.
Celebrity Ink Autos. So they state, we are proud to be bringing the best and rarest authentic Star Wars autographs anywhere in the world to Star Wars Celebration Japan 2025. And they are UK based as well, am I right?
I think so. Yeah. Um, which one are they? Celebrity Ink. They have a lot of great autograph photos. Oh, they have a whole Doctor Who section. Yep, that's my first giveaway. It's probably UK based. Yeah, Shudigatwa is basically on their homepage. There's a ton of him.
Nice.
Yeah, there are a few really big companies that have warehouses of autographs for sale. They're definitely, I've heard their name before. They're definitely one of them. They have a lot of Star Wars. When you click into their Star Wars section, they have some really interesting signers that um, deep cut characters as well as headliners. They have an Alden Ehrenreich. Ehrenreich. They've got 14 pages of Star Wars signers across. Oh, even including some new Andor stuff. So Varada Sethu from Andor. I'm sure there's a ton more. Oh, there's Vivian Blair. There's a lot of people on here. I'm actually like really amazed by like the range that you can find. So if you can't get to meet someone at a convention, this might be a way in for you to start. Maybe you want to start an autograph collection. This would be a great place to look first.
Yep, and you might find some rare ones.
Yeah.
This was one I hadn't heard of in any way, shape, or form. It's I think it's Sharajan, and it's an apparel brand from Marushin based on character designs. And it looks like varsity jackets are their specialty. Now, no pictures listed at all. Correct me if I'm wrong. I hadn't seen too much of their selection.
No. I what did I see? Like it's a textile business. There's blankets and stuff, but it linked to their corporate website. And not like their consumer facing website, but it's like, here are our company events and our soccer club and our ski club. I was like, where's your product? And I think this was, again, a translation issue. Like if you're a Japanese company talking to someone from America at Reed Pop or wherever else, and they were like, tell us about your company and send us a link. Like, I feel like I could apply for a job on here. In fact, there's a little button that says recruit. I don't need that. I need to see their selection of product that's in my Walmart or wherever else. So I literally can't tell you what they're going to bring to Celebration. I think they're going to bring dish towels or something ridiculous based on, being a textile company. That seems feasible. There's mugs on there too. I don't know. Someone report back and tell us what these people are bringing to Celebration, because I'm morbidly curious. Also, I may send them my resume just for fun.
There you go.
Yeah. So, okay, you have to talk about Citizen, Gary.
Yeah, so Citizen watches. Citizen is a watch company that has the capabilities of all its manufacturing in-house, from craft and individual watch components to final assembly, and they've been in business a long, long time, and are in about 140 markets worldwide. The reason I love to talk about Citizen is I collect watches, and at Celebration in Orlando, they had an exclusive because it was the 40th. So I was lucky enough that there were only 40 of these made, and Anne-Marie actually got me one. This is the Darth Vader Citizen. So there were 40, and I got the last one. So it's something that I have, that I treasure. But also on the back of it, it has the Star Wars Celebration logo for that year and that convention. So the only way you were getting this, aside from purchasing it for a ridiculously high price on Evil Bay, was to be at the con.
Yeah, I'm assuming they're going to have another con exclusive for sure.
Yeah, I'd imagine they will have one or two.
Chris is saying she has Citizen also and got a shirt in Anaheim.
Yeah, they're usually pretty good at the desk. Like, they will come and talk to you about anything, and sometimes you're lucky like that, and there is free merch going, so take it with both hands.
Yeah, I love a free t-shirt. That's always on my list of things to get. Next up, speaking of t-shirts and apparel, Coulson Cinematic Wear. These are t-shirts with movie themes. They reflect the designer's love for movies, and it links to their Instagram. So again, this is more of a local brand, and they have a little bit of Star Wars on there. It seems like they do plenty of pop culture properties. I'm assuming though that if they're at Celebration, they're only going to be showing their Star Wars range, and we'll see what they bring. Maybe they have some new exclusives and things like that.
I just want to know, what the hell is Chewie doing?
Yeah, I don't know. Some of the poses is like, sometimes you get this like clip art and then it just all looks weird together, and it's interesting how many times you can see the same picture, but then in different contexts it just looks crazy. Yeah.
Yep.
All right, let's see what's next on here. Comic Spot. Exclusive Star Wars merchandise awaits. We're proud exhibitors offering limited edition pins and exclusive comic books crafted for die-hard fans. Stop by and celebrate the galaxy's greatest fandom with us. So that should be interesting. I'm curious to see what type of pins they have.
Pins are always a hot commodity at any celebration.
Yeah, you know what? They're easy to carry. You can have a lot of them. They're highly swappable and tradable. If you go to this website, they have a little bit of everything. They've got Loungefly on here. They have Funko. So it seems like they're a store, not a manufacturer. So I don't know exactly what they'll be bringing from the Star Wars side of things.
Another mystery to be solved once you're on the shop floor.
Exactly.
This was probably the least surprising of anything that we would have seen. Fair assessment?
Yeah, for sure.
So the Disney Store. The Disney stores are directly owned and operated by the Walt Disney Company Japan Limited, which sells exclusive Disney merchandise. We have a wide variety of products inspired by the worldview and characters of Star Wars. So what you're most likely going to see here is some of their perhaps Black Series figures, some of their collectible lightsabers and hilts, and that would be my suspicion for what the sort of main product that will be pushed here will be these.
Yeah, I mean they're the owners of the IP, right? They're going to bring whatever categories make the most sense. Up next, EFX. This is high-end collectibles, replicas, statues, things like that. Their Star Wars section includes things like a Darth Vader helmet, a Scout Trooper helmet, a Stormtrooper helmet. They've got some lightsabers and things like that. And of course, they are all replica quality. So they will be at Celebration as well.
Their stuff is beautiful.
Yeah, they make really excellent stuff. Next up is Enski. And they have an enchanting celebration for Star Wars fans, limited edition items, and advanced sales on official goods. And this was one of those where, again, that translation is like kind of weird. And so I went to their website, and oh my God, their website. It's another one of those where it looks like an eBay explosion, but it also looks like a wholesaler kind of site. Like if you click in there, it's almost like if you owned a comic book store, this is where you would buy your case of something as opposed to an individual unit of something. So that's always, these websites, man, I can't tell you how many clicked in where the design aesthetic is more. And I've never seen so much font and like text on images crammed into one spot. And I know I sit here with logos all over the place. Holy hell. The clean aesthetic does not exist on a lot of these sites, especially in the collectible space.
The last thing I expected to see on a Star Wars website was Lotso. The thoughts of Lotso with a lightsaber scares the bejesus out of me.
Oh my God. Him and Darth Nubs could tear things up, let me tell you.
To be fair, though, I would like the alien under the slice of pizza. That is actually pretty cool. I would put that on a kit box.
That's fun, right? The Lotso Hug and Bear thing is funny because he's obviously he's a secret villain, right? It's a twist.
The real murder bear.
Yeah, the original right there. And we went to Disney before Toy Story 3 came out, and Lotso was doing meet and greets in like the animation area. And we were there. I forgot who we got pictures with. We got pictures with all the stupid characters, right? We have a picture with Lotso, and he smelled like strawberries. And they're like, oh yeah, he's like main star in the movie with Woody and Buzz and everyone. And I'm like, oh, how fun. And so we have this awesome picture with Lotso. It turns out he's the worst villain, right? Like he's the evilest of all of them. So he needs to, he also deserves his credit too. When they do like Villains Land, he absolutely needs to be there, like with the rest of the villains.
Yeah, and the first time they brought out the Lotso collectible, it smelled like strawberries. Well, sorry, I should rephrase. It was supposed to smell like strawberries.
What did it smell like? Did it not?
No, not at all. I genuinely can't put my finger on the first time we smelled it. It was just like, what is that smell in the shop? Oh, it's our Lotso doll. It's strawberry. And we're going, that's not strawberry. So,
yeah,
I don't know.
It's something. The artificial strawberry is a tough one. All right, the next company up. Yeah, IUP. Do you know anything about them?
No, we handle snow globes that express the world of Star Wars, as well as stuffed toys, bags, and pouches. We also have limited edition products available at the venue, so please stop by our booth. So, just to say right off the bat, as somebody who works in aviation, for the love of God, do not purchase a snow globe and bring it home. Airline regulations on snow globes can be particularly horrendous, and there are incidents where I've seen people put them in their hold all, and they either end up damaged or being taken away, or somebody puts them in their carry-on, and of course they open it up and there's just glitter and water everywhere. And I have seen electronics be destroyed. Yeah, so steer clear of snow globes unless you are local. Otherwise, just forget about it.
I've done it twice, where they've been confiscated from me
Correct.
at check-in, right?
Mhm.
And then they're weirdly available in the gift shops sometimes. And I've never had them arrive damaged, but I have had them taken from me before entering the airport. So yeah, I would say, look, if you're gonna buy stuff from them, they have cameras and weird collectibles and all sorts of fun stuff. The snow globe seems to be their primary thing for Star Wars. Maybe you can have it delivered. And by the way, I don't know if that's an option. A lot of these places, I don't know if they ship internationally. I don't know if they're legally permitted to ship outside of their geography. So these Japanese specific retailers, what you might want to do is buy them and then mail yourself a package, like as you know, person to person, like Gary shipping something to Gary. Like that makes sense. Because I don't think you're going to be able to buy where they can deliver to your address in America, given the restrictions on their contracts, which is a whole thing. So the snow globe actually looks really nice. There's an AT-AT in there covered in snow, which is like right
Nice.
on. So that's very cool. But yeah, I don't think you can bring that on a plane. That would be a real problem. All right, the next one up is Flag Stuff. And they are looking for blurred genre of clothing. I went to their website. They're, they're like an American Eagle, is what it seemed
Okay.
like. They have t-shirts and
Comparison.
hoodies, and yeah, I was trying to like find like something that it's similar to. I'm also not a fashion guy, so t-shirts and hoodies and all that kind of stuff, cool.
The old
They
school
probably
Wolverine is nice.
Yeah, they have some really nice stuff on here, and they've got like other licenses that I'm not particularly in the know about. But their aesthetic is pretty earth tone, you know, highly wearable. It's nothing super fashion forward. But I think this again is an example of clothing is always very regional. So maybe when you get to their booth, there'll be something in there that blows you away. Certainly, they're going to have T-shirts that we don't have here in America and other wearables. That's actually probably even if it's not exclusive to Celebration, the ability to buy a T-shirt that is really only sold in Japan makes it exclusive to Americans and anyone else who's not from Japan. So I think from um, from like a rarity component, uh, the apparel vendors are the ones to check out for the most differentiated product and for stuff that you're not going to find elsewhere for sure.
And get there before the scalpers do.
Yeah. Otherwise, you will buy this on eBay for $100.
Yeah.
You don't need that noise. All right,
Fig
Gary, this
pins.
one's for you.
Yep, Fig Pin creates premium collectible pins with hard enamel, capturing iconic characters from games, movies, and comics. They are officially licensed and perfect for display or wear, celebrating your fandom and style. I don't have any of my Fig pins around, but maybe before the end, I actually have what I do after a con. I create a shadow box with the full
Mhm.
collections of pins. So I have the one from Celebration Orlando somewhere. I'll show it off to show you what it's like. But the Fig pins are beautiful. They're a much larger scale of pin than you would actually think. We're not talking like pin, we're talking full body pin. Like if
Mhm.
you've ever seen the Ahsoka one, that was kind of released in tandem with the handbag. Oh, I'm having a
Not the
mind melt
lounge
now.
fly,
The
right?
lounge fly one, yeah, that was
Yeah.
almost released in tandem. The design is beautiful. Now they are costly, but they're quite heavy duty and they will go quickly.
Yeah, there will definitely be a queue for Fig Pin for sure.
Hmm.
And a big trade on eBay as well. Foundation is another fashion brand. They create attractive products on the market by optimizing characters, designs, and trends. So I went to their website. I didn't really see any particular Star Wars stuff other than that one shirt. But I think the point is we're going to see new reveals at Celebration, right? That's really the biggest thing right there. So again, I highly recommend you visit all of the apparel um, vendors at the show.
Freak Store, sharing the excitement of American culture since 1986. I'll be honest, hadn't heard of this one either, Mark. No idea
Hmm.
about you. We freak curate style clothes, accessories, and home goods we love for those embracing an active American lifestyle. So, considering their website is Daytona Park, I'm assuming they are US based.
It seems that way, but I couldn't tell you. Their website looks very Japanese, and even though it is a .com, just from the web experience, and if you look at some of the graphics and everything, like are they cosplaying as Americans? Like that could be interesting. Americans do that shit all the time. We're constantly culturally appropriating. So I think this is a really interesting one to visit because are they actually an American company or are they a Japanese company with an American aesthetic? That would be interesting. Like America through the lens of another culture. And then what are they
Hmm.
offering? What are they selling back to us? I'm curious to see. But I will tell you, if you lined up this apparel shop next to the other 5 we've looked at so far, I couldn't tell you what their core aesthetic is. The same way you can't really tell something from the Gap versus Banana Republic versus American Eagle. They all just kind of have a logo you recognize, and then you get there, and it's the same khakis and polo shirts for the most part. So I think you have to get there in person and really look at their offerings because I see T-shirts and hoodies and that kind of stuff. And again, this is what I would come home with. I would spend my time at the apparel vendors and pack my luggage with that.
This is one that I think everybody will be familiar with. Galaxy Tours. Galaxy Tours connects Star Wars fans to real-world Tatooine and Tunisia via award-winning tours, a bespoke travel app, and unique memorabilia. We make the Star Wars pilgrimage to Tunisia a reality. And anyone who's following them on social media will no doubt have seen some of their crazy adventures and escapades. And if you aren't following them, be sure to give them a follow. So this is one I was familiar with, Mark. I'm sure you were as well with what they do.
Yeah, I've had a lot of back and forth of like, is this a bucket list item for people to go to Tunisia to see the original, um, I mean, they say it here, a pilgrimage to see the original shooting locations for A New Hope. And it's interesting that Lucasfilm or Disney hasn't gotten involved in any of this type of preservation. I think some of it is the geography itself that makes that a little bit of a hurdle. But this company is definitely keeping these locations like alive and thriving. And they have a whole memorabilia section as well. Maybe you're someone who can't make it out there for an actual tour. You can still take a piece of the experience home with you. And we've had many a group text within the VCN. At one point, we even joked about maybe the family vacation is something related to Tunisia. That's a lot of international travel and a lot of discussion. And I think like you should go as a group if you're going to go, and you should go with like the most hardcore Star Wars people. In fact, I remember when the Star Cruiser was announcing their rates, people were comparing it to Galaxy Tours, saying you could do this 3 times instead of going for the Star Cruiser for a weekend. And I think people might have. So yeah, I feel like they're only getting more popular somehow.
Well, speaking of the Galaxy of the Cruiser, correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't there like a fan-made documentary that's going to be coming out, or I've heard whispers of?
I've heard there's an official documentary coming out,
Ah,
which I remind everyone there's no need. If you've watched the Jenny Nicholson video, you don't need the PR version of the documentary. By the way, that's gorgeous. I love that. I love
that's
a
the reason I
challenge
asked.
coin.
That was
hmm
the launch coin.
hmm A challenge coin is amazing. I have a very small number of challenge coins, one from a friend who's a 501ster. Um, and yeah, those are hot commodities for sure. I will say this about the Star Cruiser. I'm devastated that it didn't go the way it should have. I'm not surprised. Once all the information came out, I was like, oh, this is not going to go well. I'm happy for the people who got to experience it. And I have multiple friends who went and loved it. And it was the time of their lives. And they still go to events after the fact and like still hang out with other Star Cruiser people. And at the same time, everything in Jenny Nicholson's video is 100% correct. And I feel like I would have had her experience as well, being like, "What is this?" Even when I go to Galaxy's Edge, I joke about scanning the crates. I made that joke I think before she even did, where I was like, "Why am I here scanning crates on my phone?" Like the whole point is like to get off my phone. Like if I'm doing this all day, like in the park, I'm not. It's actually breaking the reality that I have to open my emails out and Instagram and whatever else. Like you're losing the immersion by asking me to play with my phone and scan boxes. Like if you gave me a scanner, almost like something out of Star Trek, right, where they give you something to like, that would have been fine ish. But like I don't know. At least Luke Skywalker's walking around now in Galaxy's Edge. They're trying to bring the fun back.
Yeah, pretty good likeness from the cast member that I did see. So
The
good on
wig is a
that at
problem.
least.
The wig is terrible. But outside of that, look, here's the thing. It's a step in the right direction. Give me Luke, give me Leia, give me Han, give me Lando. I want to see R2. I don't like C3PO, but I understand why he would need to be there. Um, I think it just needs to be fun. Give me Ahsoka. Give me Asajj Ventress. You know what I mean? Like run amok, like like Star Wars weekends. Those were the days. Like they really were. Can it just
You
be
know
fun?
what? You know what would always get me is the first time we ever went there, we got to see Vi Moradi, and she was
Oh,
amazing. And now, just nope, nothing.
she's just not there anymore. Yep.
Hmm.
Ugh, we will regroup on that because I do think Star Wars weekends or something like that is coming back based on what they are testing in Disneyland, with like little things happening that are inching toward the fun. All right, next up is the Gap. Nothing really to say here. I assume that they have a T-shirt license in Japan, because otherwise, I don't think there's any licensed exclusive product in America for the Gap. But again, I highly recommend visit every apparel place, Gap included, to see what they have that you're not going to be able to get here back in the States.
Well, this is definitely one for the family. So it states, for the first time ever, Grogu Cutest in the Galaxy pop-up store will be at Celebration, featuring the cutest in the galaxy far, far away. Visitors can expect to see new products and a workshop where they can create their own tote bag. So I would
That's
love my
fun.
own tote. I would love my own tote bag to carry around. So this would be one to jump in on.
Mhm.
Apart from that, absolutely no idea because I've never heard of it. But as they said, it's the first time that they're ever having a pop-up store of this nature. So
Yeah, I look. It seems like it's almost like a Disney made kind of thing. So yeah, I would love to see everyone's custom tote bags. I think there'll be a whole thread of that coming back from Celebration on the Facebook page, I'm sure. Um, so yeah, keep us posted on what happens there. Up next on the list is Happy Kuji. So this is a lottery, offers a chance to win exclusive Star Wars merchandise, art boards, acrylic stands, and more. It's a must-have for collectors. Last prize for the final ticket holder. Enjoy the world of Star Wars at Happy Kuji. Again, I didn't really know much about this vendor either. They
yeah,
seem to be
likewise.
Japan specific, which is that's the cool thing about the show. As much as like people are complaining about, oh, we got to like travel 14 hours by plane and to go to this convention, it could have been in Ohio. You'd miss out on all this local flavor. I would never know
Hmm.
about Happy Kuji if it weren't for this show. By the way, their website is not particularly helpful. It's another one where I find it hard to navigate and like it's a weird layout and stuff. But again, visit them in person. I almost wanted to like flag each one of like which one I think is an actual Japanese licensor, being like this is a must visit because you'll never have that chance again. Like they're not going to be able to sell product in America.
No, definitely not. I don't think any explanation is needed on this one. It is Hasbro. There will be exclusives. They're gonna go quick. If you're looking for that collectible, this is this and the one that's probably coming up next will be the two big hitters in terms of collectibles.
Without a doubt. And I'm wondering if they'll reveal a new Black Series line or character, or like they've already done a few announcements lately. I think there's some stuff that people have been asking for that might be coming down the pipe. We also have the HasLab, that probably I think this would be the place to reveal a HasLab, right? They did it at San Diego
Absolutely.
Comic Con for the Ghost 2 years
Hmm.
ago. This would be the spot to announce a new HasLab.
Yep.
All right, heritage auctions. I mean, this hits me where I live, right? There's a huge description here, but basically, like, they have some cool stuff that will be up for auction, and it has all been certified. That website link on the entertainment on the celebration page does not work, so you have to go to entertainment.ha.com, not just ha.com. That brings you nowhere. So it is yeah, 404 error if you click the one that's on the celebration page. Come on, guys. But so I did some digging and it looks like they have like a whole wave of Star Wars stuff to bid on. And believe me, when I worked at Tops, like this would have been where we would have tried to source some stuff to put into cards and things like that.
Yeah, the one thing I'd say about this though, if you are somebody who is traveling all the way to Japan to experience Star Wars Celebration, the last thing you want to be doing is spending your time keeping an eye on an auction or spending time queuing to put in a bid for some items that might potentially be done via blind auction. So this would be one personally for me I wouldn't be touching with a 10-foot pole.
Hmm. Yeah, it's a tough one. Like, I don't think they're actually having an auction at the show. I think that they're going to show their catalog, talk about what's coming up, probably have a couple pieces there to buy. At Celebration 2015, I actually bought a piece of the Death Star for Tops.
Nice.
So this is going back. So we're now 10 years removed from this whole fiasco. But
Hmm.
I was trying to keep it under wraps. And so I was in my Tops t-shirt. So I borrowed a hoodie from one of my coworkers, went over and was trying to like sneakily buy the thing and like make my way in and out, right? I wanted to be back in like 20 minutes, no fuss, no bother. But I bought like a $5,000 item with my boss's credit card, right? And
Nice.
his ID and all this kind of stuff. And I will tell you, when you spend $5,000 at a booth like that, they make a big deal about it. People are clapping and cheering and screaming. I was like, I'm literally trying to be as incognito as possible. I don't want anyone to recognize me as working for Tops because we're going to chop it up and put it into trading cards and all that kind of stuff. And it was like a square of the Death Star, like this big. By the way, we never used the thing. So we bought that piece and it like stayed at the company. We weren't able to chop it up and put it into cards after all that. But like I left in like a cold sweat. I took the thing and I was like, can I please have a bag or something to put this in? It was in a box and this and that. And I like wrapped it in something else and then went running back to the booth and like stored it in our booth. But like it was actually like quite the mission impossible of it all. It was and I feel bad that we never actually got to put it into a trading card after all that. But like
And I
there's a
mean,
piece of the Death Star hanging out somewhere at Tops.
that would have been a large expense. Like those relic cards, when they are pulled, they go
Hmm.
for a lot of money.
Yeah. Well, the rules changed quite a bit when every licensee went from Lucasfilm to Disney, a lot of things changed. And so
Mhm.
some things that we were able to do, like buying things from the prop store, which is where I got that piece of the Death Star, we couldn't put that in cards on a go forward. But Lucasfilm was able to provide us with costume swatches or the yardage of the fabric that was used to make costumes and things like that officially
Yeah.
basically the year after Force Awakens came out, so not during that first year, but once
Mhm.
we got past that, we were able to start doing those things again. With baseball, on the other hand, we have teams of I don't even know how many people that are constantly at every baseball game, in every locker room, literally taking the uniforms off the players while they're changing and like throwing them into bags and cataloging them and everything to chop up the uniforms and put them into cards. Used baseballs, used cleats, bases, you name it. Like they get put into cards, and there's like an entire operation that is incredibly impressive over at Tops for that whole thing. I guess now Fanatics, but Tops. Doing that. We didn't have that on the entertainment side. The best we did, though, Doctor Who, the BBC, sent me a case of costumes that we chopped up and put into Doctor Who cards. It was very cool.
Beautiful, and especially then if they're autos on top of relics, if they're
Mm.
doubles or triples, the
Oh,
value
yeah.
just shoots up.
I loved working in cards. It was such a great time. All right, next vendor on the list, HMV. They didn't really say what they're going to have there, but they'll have books, apparently. And I
Yeah,
think they also
we've
do
got it.
DVDs and music, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm wondering. Is it the HMV over here? Because that website is not the
Mm,
website for HMV over here, and it's not even the logo. So that's why I'm kind of going.
yeah,
I have
that
no idea what's going on here.
that website was unhelpful as well. Oh, baby boy, do you want to come up? Mr. Hicks needs some love and attention. Yes,
Oh,
come on
nice.
up. Yeah, he's being very lovey this one. I'm going to grab him here. I'm going to click to the
Go
next
for it.
slide. You can talk about hot toys because I put in this photo specifically for you, Gary.
Yeah, because it's sitting on one of my shelves. So as we mentioned, Hasbro will be one of the big hitters, but then Hot Toys will be as well. So they specialize in creating highly detailed collectible figures, toys, and accessories based on your favorite Star Wars characters. The detailing is amazing. Anybody who follows me on social media, you can go online and see this guy here. I also have the new Ahsoka Thrawn, so the Lars Mikkelsen Thrawn, which hello kitty, which is in my collection. But you've seen what they're like, Mark. The detailing is fantastic, and their booth is just on another planet for what they do.
Oh yeah, no, they're incredible. What do you think, Mr. Hicks? Thrawn is our favorite. Hot Toys, Sideshow. I love this whole category. I work adjacent to it, with helmets and stuff. By the way, I'm wearing shorts, so make sure
That's okay.
everyone's aware. But yeah, I almost said I'm wearing pants, which I realize in Britain means something different. Is that the same in Irish? Like if I say I'm wearing pants, do you think I'm wearing trousers or underwear?
Pants would usually be underwear, but we would know what you mean. Maybe UK, maybe
Because I'm
not so much, but
American. Yeah.
Ireland would. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, because I remember talking to the BBC team at one point, asking for costumes for Doctor Who. Coming back to this, and I was like, "Oh yeah, we definitely need a suit. So I'd love to get like the shirt, the pants, the jacket, shirt, pants, jacket." And they're like, "I don't think we can get you pants." And I'm like, "Oh, that's fine. The shirt and jacket's fine too." And I didn't realize what I was saying, and they didn't realize what I was saying either. And I was like, "I want his trousers that come with the rest of the suit." We ended up just getting a shirt from the 11th Doctor after all that, anyway.
Beautiful.
Yeah. But yeah, Hot Toys, gotta check them out. They'll probably announce an exclusive as well. All right, Mr. Hicks is done. That was enough. He was like, "All right, I've been pet. I will leave now."
This is going to be a sellout on day one, I would say.
Without a doubt, I can't imagine that the Hydro Flask is really catching on, especially as what's the other one? Stanley has kind of fallen off in the last few months.
It's huge over here now. It is
Yeah.
enormous in Ireland. Every second person you see has a bloody Stanley Cup.
That was us 6 months ago. And now this one seems to be the new one. This is their newest collection. It's like got a watercolor thing to it. I do enjoy the fact that people are just walking around with like buckets of water, like we live in the desert. But I do think there'll be a Star Wars collection revealed at the show, or Star Wars products. So, and if you need to stay hydrated at the show. So I would recommend go get one of these and stay hydrated.
This is one that would be particularly exciting for me. So this is Jazzwares. Fans will experience an immersive display of epic new products, epic new collectibles and products, including the storied Star Wars Micro Galaxy collection. So I had a feeling that might pop up. So if you're not familiar with Micro Galaxy,
yep,
this is the Micro Galaxy here. Their stuff is amazing. So that's the Grand Army of the Republic battle pack. And the saga continues with Jazzware's highly anticipated upcoming waves of vehicles and micro figures that will complete the collection. And what I like most is bring fans next level surprises. So I can't imagine they're not going to have something pretty cool lined up.
Yeah, it says exclusive look at what's in store for 2025 and beyond. So they have to release some new product. I know whenever we did a convention, we would always showcase something upcoming, whether it's going to be available for pre-sale or whatever else. In fact, on the Denuo front, we have a pre-order that's going to happen in the next 2 weeks, right before Celebration. And our loyalty program is kicking in next week. And then we'll have a sale for Celebration. So like a lot is happening. And then it's May the 4th. So there'll be yet another sale. It's wild. So it's chaos right now. I'm sure every other licensee is feeling the exact same way, where like Celebration stacked on May the 4th. And especially if you're traveling for this kind of thing. Jazzwares is a US based company, as is Tops and a bunch of the other places that are going. So it's an undertaking for sure. All right, JCB, the first Japanese international payments brand, has expanded globally with strategic businesses, and they'll have a booth for a special version of Star Tours. The adventure continues as an official sponsor of Tokyo Disneyland. So
that's
curious to see
that's enough of a reason to go, just to get on Star Tours.
Yeah, exactly. That's really cool. Jedi Order Japan. This one didn't have a link. There's a Facebook group, is what it seems like. So they're a costuming organization, but they were in the vendor section as opposed to like a fan group. So that was a little bit strange, but I guess maybe they bought a booth like a vendor.
Yeah,
but they look like they're a lot of fun.
Yeah, not familiar with them at all, I'll be honest. But again, you can never have enough cosplay, so please go along and see what's going on and check them out.
Yeah, their Facebook page looks like a lot of fun. Next up was Jewelry Brands, which that is their official name, and they do pop culture jewelry and accessories, and it's all officially licensed. And they do have some Star Wars pieces. You can see the Stormtrooper necklace and things like that. I'm realizing now I'm
right.
It
looks like the ghost is $9. Surely not.
Well, I'm sure it's like sterling silver or something like that, right? They've got like friendship bracelets. Like they have a Deadpool Wolverine friendship bracelet, like Taylor Swift style, that says "Best Buds." Like that's really cute, right? Like, and all of these seem really affordable.
Nice.
Yeah, $10. They've got pins. They've got there's a lot of pins actually. Some blind box stuff. It's small scale jewelry, so very affordable. This would be a place to stock up on quantity of stuff, because I don't see this in America at all. And they're very cute. There's a Lothcat pin. There's an Ahsoka pin. There's an Ewok in a snow globe as a pin. There's like a whole snow globe lineup of pins. It's very cute stuff. This is where I would go broke, honestly, here in Figpin. And then I come back with like cases of stuff then how do you display it? As you know, like you're running out of wall space.
Yep. So this stuff I have seen. I've actually seen some of their Dragon Ball Z glasses. I think they mostly cater for more so like children's frames, but they do some adult stuff. So Jins is a Japanese eyewear brand, and they offer Star Wars inspired sunglasses designed with motifs of Imperial Army and galaxy planets, as well as glasses cases designed like VHS packaging. So if you're maybe an old school collector into more your retro items, that could be something that's worth a look at for sure.
Yeah, I'm sure they'll have some new designs that are Star Wars inspired. Very black and red, silver and black and silver and red, that whole aesthetic. The Imperial makes for a great aesthetic, and then of course anything orange with the Rebellion. All right, this one literally made me laugh out loud, Junk Shop USA, because I didn't know what this was. It's eBay. I looked at it. It is junk. I clicked the link and I was like, well, now my computer has all the viruses. Just
Wow.
based on the layout of this website, it is chaotic. I don't even think that link initially. Yeah, that link doesn't work, so I had to change the link. It is another one where if you just click the link from the Celebration site, it takes you nowhere. So I had to change it. It is random collectibles, but again, it's basically eBay, I think, within the geography of Japan
Wow.
for American product. So we have a lot of import stores here in New York. I'll tell you, we have stores that are like, anime specific stores, and it's all stuff from Japan with Japanese boxes and labeling, and not UPCs, I guess EAN numbers, whatever the thing is. They have that same situation, and let me tell you, it was a trip. So enjoy surfing on there. All right, next one up was K Uno,
K
the
Uno.
largest. Yeah, do you know this one?
Nope. It's
Oh,
another
okay.
one for me. So it is the largest customized jewelry brand in Japan, with various designs and skills cultivated via jewelry customization. We create finest pieces worn with comfort and treasured for a lifetime.
The customization piece is interesting because imagine you're getting married and you and your wife want to do like "I love you, I know" or something like that. Like, which by the way, I think there's a ring maker in America who does that kind of thing. That could
Hmm.
be really interesting, or something that looks like a lightsaber hilt kind of thing. Like that could be really cool. Anything customizable. That trend has been going for so long now. It's just part of the baseline experience in market, right? Everything needs to be customizable. So curious to see what they're going to have.
Yep.
All right, next up is a place called Legs, and this is 72 types of oolong tea in cans available under the name Tag Live Label, with designs from Star Wars episodes 1 through 9. So, of course, Phantom Menace through Rise of Skywalker and everything in between. Went to their website. Again, this looks like a wholesale website. Like, it's the kind of thing where it's not very consumer facing. It took me a minute to understand like who this was, because they're listed as marketing partner on the Celebration site, but their actual company name is Legs. This is another hidden gem. I'm telling you, I would just like walk through the vendor room all day looking for the Japanese specific companies to find out what they're all about.
Yeah, and with something like that, you can't imagine those are going to be available in massive, massive quantities.
Mm-mm.
Liberty Force had not heard of these either, Mark. I had absolutely no idea. Is the power of freedom. If everyone realizes their own hidden talents and removes restrictions, they will be freer and their individuality will shine. So this is predominantly a clothing vendor. Did I see some other kind of little collectibles on their page when I was having a little bit of a browse? But it seems to be mostly clothing.
Yeah, from what I saw, let's see. At least in Star Wars, it was shirts, pants, tops, bottoms, socks, kids. But not in Star Wars. Star Wars doesn't have. Let's go to Shop All. Oh my God, go back. See, now I'm in Star Wars by mistake. Oh, 2024 pre-order. Yeah, there's like nothing on this site. I know. I feel like it's all blurring as to what's what, but yeah, they seem to be primarily apparel.
Yeah. Well, the next one we know what we're going to get. There we go. So, Disney used to sell Ladro to beat the band when you would go to a Disney park and you would go to Arribas Brothers. This is where you would find the Ladro. So they are a Spanish company and they make these incredible like porcelain figurines. Our family have got cabinets of this stuff, like the
Really?
old. Oh, we've got some of the
Oh.
real old school, like Ladro collections that you just can't get anymore. I must actually send you some pictures of some of the cabinets to show you them, but they don't do too much of them anymore. The little Grogu that was there, he was actually unveiled at Star Wars Celebration in London. I think he was like £400 or something like that. We considered buying him, but getting him home, he was a little bit delicate. So, but yeah, Ladro will no doubt be showcasing something completely exclusive and new for this celebration. So Grogu was the one in London. So what the next one is going to be, I have no idea.
And this comes back to, if you're worried about taking it in your luggage, buy the item, ship it from your hotel to America, because they can't ship it to you, is my understanding for the most part. Like, they will not be able to ship to the US. You need to buy it, you need to own it, and then you need to mail it yourself from the hotel, or from the post office, like whatever their UPS, FedEx and UPS are worldwide. So, like, that's probably your best bet with a lot of this stuff.
Yeah, the only thing is some Ladros are small enough that they might potentially fit in your carry-on,
hmm
depending on it. So that could be an option for you. But
hmm I
yeah,
don't
no,
trust myself. I'm a clumsy bitch. I will
yeah.
break this without a doubt.
And
um,
Ladro is not hearty, one hit and it is gone. But
mhm.
no doubt they will have stuff there, and this will sell out really quick.
Up next on our list is a Metacom toy, established in 1996 under the slogan "Making things we would rather than product development based on marketing." I love that translation. So it's the stuff they want, right? Based on toy designs of various character figures, they've got it's small scale action figures, in some ways highly stylized across a lot of different licenses. You can see from the range here. There's only a couple Star Wars on the list, but I did see some original trilogy and some new trilogy and a Mandalorian figure as well. So I think that they'll obviously bring a nice selection to Celebration. They look really cool. So and again, this would probably be your only chance to get this kind of stuff because they're not available in America.
Are we surprised at all with this one?
Oh, with Lego, no, they're a must-have.
No explanation needed on this one.
Yeah, I'm curious to see what they're going to unveil,
What
because
their exclusive will be.
yeah, they'll probably be like a build your own set kind of thing. They always do something where you can build something. They'll probably announce a nice big set, maybe tied into Andor, which I realize Andor is not the most consumer product ready of the Star Wars franchises. I would love to see some skeleton crew. I think that would be really fun. We definitely need minifigures of all four of the kids. I mean, the kids make for perfect minifigs. They're
Yep.
mini already. So I think, like, if they Skeleton Crew lends itself to me at the moment, like more so than the Acolyte, and certainly more so than Andor, as the most Lego ready recent slice of the franchise, unless they
Mhm.
have something future forward coming for like Ahsoka season 2 or the Mando Grogu movie, which it seems a little too early to share that stuff with us outside of their usual leak schedule, which is always 6 months out. So we'll come back to Lego in about 6 months when they're ready to leak something.
Someone will just put up a picture of the packaging and that'll be it.
Yeah, and they'll reveal the name of Sigourney Weaver's character, which I've already seen leaked somewhere, which I don't know if it's right, but like I already saw that on the internet being like, we know her name, and I'm like, I can't care or know, like, come on now.
Leave it.
So
Yeah.
yeah,
This one probably no surprise either to see some kind of VR/AR experience at a con like this. So it is MetaQuest on this occasion.
I hope you get to play a little bit, because Vader was a Vader Fallen, some whatever it was, the first Vader one,
Yeah.
um, was very cool. And I remember playing it, and you can't play for too long because it gave me a little bit of a headache. But that's because, like, that, it was new, and I think it's been since optimized quite a bit. But I remember swinging wildly, like they were trying to. It was bad. I'm not a great gamer. It's a blind spot for me. But I would love to go to Celebration and try out one of these things at the booth and like experience it, and then maybe you pre-order the game. Like, I think that would be the way in, right?
Me and Spence met up in Orlando and we did the Vader one together. That was that was cool.
Yeah, that I like a coordinated play, because I'm not going to be a ton of help.
Mhm.
I'll be part of the party. I don't know how much I can contribute. All right, this one hits me where I live because food is my love language. When I found out that they were going to be waffles filled with chocolate and all sorts of other treats, like I need these mailed to me, please. So whoever can figure out how to mail food from Japan legally without us ending up in some broke down palace prison, please keep me in mind for Moncrev. Like I went to their website and I was like drooling over the food. It looks incredible. I don't know how it's related to Star Wars, but I don't care.
Hey, it could be a waffle Death Star. Who knows? Or maybe the Death Star being flattened like a pancake. Who
That
knows?
or all those people in the Gorman massacre. Whoosh.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Panini massacre, as we're going to start calling it. I didn't know about this one because they're American.
I do know the name of this. Yeah, from Florida. Arcade selling a variety of vintage and modern pop culture collectibles, video games, anime, Star Wars trading cards, and more. So this is the first one I've seen that's properly mentioning the trading cards. So if anybody collects trading cards, like any of the artist cards, I should have like one or two around here from friends who are actually artists. So what you would be looking for would be kind of trading cards like these, like say Mustafar Vader's Castle, or do you reckon when they're saying Star Wars trading cards that they're probably talking about selling Topps cards?
I would think so. Topps has been the only official licensee for trading cards, at least in America. There have
Mm-hmm.
also been Star Wars trading card games, and card games and things like that. But like Topps has been exclusively the licensee since the beginning. They're actually
Mm-hmm.
the longest running licensee technically because they were around in '77.
Yeah.
So I remember when it was us and Hasbro bought Kenner, so Kenner sort of gets grandfathered in that way. But like in 2015, we were talking about how few original licensees were still left. And then after the Disney acquisition, even fewer because Disney consolidated so many of the licensees. And of course, so many new categories have come in. Like there wasn't a Funko in 1977. There wasn't even a Funko in 2007.
Yeah.
So it's the kind of thing where there's always new people coming in, but somehow Topps has hung around and action figures always hang around, whether it's Kenner or Hasbro. And I think Hasbro will hold on to that license for a long time for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, they'll make it to the 50th, and that's my goal too. I'm a licensee right now. I was like, I just want to re-sign through 2027, and just so I can experience the 50th. Because holy hell, it's going to be wild.
Oh
I'm
yeah.
already in like planning for 2027 on a variety of fronts, both for the VCN and for my actual day job.
No surprise with this next one at all.
Yeah, it's interesting they're listed as a vendor. I mean, technically, they're running the autograph hall. I think they might also have prints for sale, separate from the prints that are available on the table, but don't quote me on that. They've obviously booked all the talent coming to Celebration, and working with Reed Pop on organizing the photo ops. So if you go to the Celebration website, you can direct link to tickets to buy autographs, photo ops, and everything for the talent that are still available because many are sold out.
And for the autograph collectors, actually, one thing that I came across was I haven't seen any vendors mention that when you're buying, let's say, if they have prints available that are already autographed, I haven't seen anyone that seems to be selling the A4 plastic protectors that we would keep our prints flat packed in. So maybe that's just something to consider. Maybe bring your own because it doesn't look like many of them have them in the. Now, if with Topps, they probably do come with them, but maybe not. You wouldn't know. So if you can, bring your own flat pack protectors for protecting your autograph prints.
It's funny you mention that because when we were doing celebrating autographs a few weeks ago, we mentioned that and we said there's almost guaranteed to be at least one vendor, having it almost like a service business. But I would assume that Official Picks would also probably have them available as well. But yeah, bring your own. I also think that like the hard plastic top loaders are great for temporary storage and for safety and for bringing things home. And then once you get home, put it into something a little more permanent where it's not like touching the autograph. I know you like a shadow box, Gary.
Yeah.
Everyone has their own preferred. Like there's the portfolio. The name I always forget. I always want to call it the Ayatollah. It's not that. It's it's some other nonsense that you slide in, and it's acid-free protection, all that kind of stuff. So. There's all sorts of different storage methods for your autographs once you're actually home and they're safe. And you can go back and watch any of our celebrating autographs, whether it's me or Dave or Frank, talking about the various ways you can store everything safely.
Never heard of these guys either. Off-World Toys and buy, sell, and this is another. Oh, this is another one for trade actually. Vintage Star Wars items from 77 to 86.
They look like a small scale comic book store, and they go to a lot of conventions, it seems. So that's always fun. I love it's again that local flavor. If we're going to Japan, let's meet the Japanese toy store owner and ask how he stocks his store and what pop culture franchises he's into. And yeah, maybe trade some stuff. So I can't imagine people are coming to trade for the most part. I know, especially with Star Wars, we always think we're going to get rid of stuff to make room for something else, and there's always a plus. Like you see the stacks of stuff behind me. This is impossible. This is less than it used to be, but there's still no escape.
Yeah, it just
Um,
doesn't happen.
yeah, I always have good intentions, and then it doesn't land. So PGA, they manufacture accessories for cell phones. So they've got keychains and phone case holders and things like that. This was another one that they're a Japanese specific company, so I didn't recognize them before the show. But it looks like they have some really cute stuff.
You'll probably see a load of pop sockets as well being sold.
hmm And they have the iPhone 16 cases. And they've got a lot of licenses: Disney, Marvel, Tom and Jerry, Looney Tunes, DC. Not a lot of licensees have DC and Marvel. That's rare. Other than Lego, it's rare that someone has both. And they've got a lot of different categories over here. So, yeah,
I
it's
just
interesting.
noticed the Greg Hildebrand poster is just right at the bottom there. One of the greatest posters ever made.
Um, hold on. Is that on the homepage? I already clicked into.
Just right there on what you're sharing. The Greg Hildebrand poster is
Oh,
just
right on the
right at the bottom there.
bottom corner. See, there's always a hidden gem.
Mm-hmm.
All right, this one, and this one I had to do a double take. It's Proud Men, not the Proud Boys. No connection whatsoever. But like every now and then you read something, you're like, what the hell? This is a grooming company, so they specialize in skincare, fragrance. They have a really beautiful aesthetic. I actually went to their site and thought that like their stuff looked really, really cool. So I think here's the thing: you're going to be over there. You're inevitably going to need deodorant. You're inevitably going to get
Don't
bags
be
under
that
your
person.
eyes. Yeah, please bring your own. Always have your own spray cologne and deodorant. Like I always carry like a little Ziploc bag of gum and mints because like you're drinking coffee and you can't brush your teeth all day. You need gum or mint. And it's always polite to offer people gum. It's never quite as polite to offer them a mint, right? Because there's a question about why would you offer someone a mint, but gum solves the same problem. I always have my spray deodorant or my spray cologne, my deodorant. It's nice to have a little bit of under eye cream, especially if you have very fair skin the way I do. Like you can see all these dark lines, but they have some really beautiful stuff, and their reviews are great. So
And
um,
if you buy something, you get a limited pin, which is enough of a reason to buy.
yeah, I don't understand the Star Wars connection. So that's the thing that was not able to connect the dots on. But if they have a limited edition Star Wars thing, please let us know. And also, I would love some under eye cream for anyone going. All right, we're nearing the end of the list. We've only got a few left. I did not know Rage Blue either, but
Hadn't
they're
heard of this either.
European. Yeah, or I guess they're not European. They're blending American and European. So this is sort of like taking two cultures again through the lens of Japan and its apparel and things like that. So I didn't quite get it, but they have a lot of brands under them. So again, I think this is like a hidden gem of like check this out and see what it's all about.
Yep, another one I hadn't heard of either. So that'll be interesting to see what they have on what they'll showcase.
Yeah, I couldn't get a sense as to what category was going to be displayed at the show.
Shout out to Steve, Rancho Obi-Wan.
hmm I love those guys so much. We used to send them product all the time when I was at Tops. And their museum is, of course, world renowned. I don't know what he's bringing for Japan because I can't imagine it's cheap to ship a bunch of stuff. And I think now there's so much great digital tour footage that you could like watch a video and get like a tour of like, and then he could bring a couple of select pieces, right? I remember the London one because I got to go early before the show opened and visit like, holy hell, the amount of stuff they brought for Rancho. It was like unreal. Um,
Yeah, and if people aren't members of Rancho Obi-Wan or have never met the amazing Steve Sansui, be sure to go along and check it out because
yeah.
Steve has stories beyond stories. He has been there, done that, and
mhm.
he is just for what he does alone. Like that's not just a job; that's a calling to do what he does.
Yeah, he's someone as ingrained in the brand as anyone who works on it, like at Lucasfilm for sure. Like he's lived Star Wars as long as almost as long as George at this point. So I'm curious to see what he's going to bring with him, and then I think he has events coming later in the year that we have to be on the lookout for because I've got to make it out to Rancho. It's been on my list for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
All right, do you know anything about Ponycomb?
Nope,
This is another
hadn't heard of
apparel
them at all.
brand, and they're new to me as well. But it looks like they're going to have some pre-sales happening at Celebration, and they do have officially licensed product for Star Wars. So we'll see what they come up with. Again, these
Some of it,
apparel brands, yeah.
some of it literally just looks like based on what was there on the website. They literally copy and pasted, one of those square like memes, and literally just put it on a
Mhm.
yeah, that's what it looks like with this one. But we could be totally wrong, but on the face of it, that's what it seems to be.
Yeah, and this is where again, like I can't speak to any of the apparel brands that are Japan specific,
Mhm.
and they may have really cool stuff coming for Celebration. And here's the thing: everything has an embargo, right? So if you have an exclusive item for Japan, they just announced some of those, but not all of them on the website, which we're going to cover in our next news desk, because this show is already over an hour and we're barely making our way through the list of vendors. Um, from there will be stuff revealed at the show, and at that point you can then put it on your website. So
Mhm.
there's all sorts of rules and regulations. You will not believe the amount of digital paperwork I filled out just to like advertise for this scavenger hunt thing that's happening. It is wild.
Yeah.
And for people to go chase down a QR code, which by the way is going to be really fun. So for anyone who like couldn't make it to Celebration, you can still learn about other companies that participate in Star Wars through that kind of thing and get special offers. So I'm one of those too. If you tell me there's a digital scavenger hunt, I'm going. All right, Rockham. Rockham Socks, the world's largest sock store. Not to be confused with Stance, who is
Hence,
also going.
that was the
Yeah.
one that I was going to say. Yeah.
So we have two competing sock companies, and look, if there's not a fist fight, what are we doing? But yeah, their stuff actually looks really cool. The Rockham socks, and I think that they are Japan specific because Stance is the
American
American
side of
company.
things.
Yeah, and so Rockham must be specific to Japan, or at least like maybe not as big in America, as far as I can
Mhm.
tell. Their website's in I almost said their website's in American. Their website is in English, um, but I can't get a sense as to like their lineup or anything like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, they have Darth Vader and Luke Skywalker, but yeah, I'm trying to. Oh, yeah, these are nice. The socks are nice. By the way, that website doesn't, again, on the Celebration site, doesn't link correctly, so you have to go out to the main site. It's ridiculous.
Royal Selangor. So this is an interesting one. This is showcasing pewter, which probably means that anyone traveling internationally will not get this home because it will take up their entire luggage allowance. So yeah, and as they state, their bespoke trophies have graced winners' podiums at world-class events like Formula One. So
Hmm.
this is going to weigh a ton unless you are local. This is one that's probably not going to be on your radar, but go along and see some of the merchandise that is there because the quality looks beautiful.
Yeah, take some pictures. And if there is something you want, you might be able to do what I was saying, where you buy it and then mail it from your hotel or UPS or FedEx. I remember at San Diego Comic Con, we all joked that the longest line at the convention was the line for the UPS guy. Because I actually had to mail some stuff for work. Otherwise, I wouldn't have waited, and it had to get done before the weekend hit. So there I am, like Friday midday, like itching to get this thing mailed so it arrives when it needs to, that kind of thing. It can be really overwhelming on that front. But they will have gorgeous items based on what I saw on the website. I didn't know about them before this, but they look like they make some really high-end, interesting stuff.
Roosevelt's. So absolutely amazing company. They still don't ship to Ireland, unfortunately, but thankfully we do have our ways of getting things here. So they're an apparel brand born from a love of sports, pop culture, and above all, have an amazing time. And this is the clothing for the bold and fun for those who dare mighty things.
Hmm.
The quality of their clothing, I can personally speak to. I have a couple of Roosevelt stuff. It is gorgeous, and they continue to just knock it out of the park with every release.
Hmm. This is a brand that doesn't know the word subtle. These are all over prints that are visible from across the galaxy, and they are very cool. You can see them from a mile away at like a convention. They're they're unmissable. They are highly recognizable, and they came out of nowhere. That's what's so crazy. Like all of a sudden, they were just everywhere, and influencers and all the YouTube geeky guys who have podcasts that are super successful are all wearing these shirts. I was like, how did this happen? I feel like out of nowhere, they just became like the shirt. So good on them. I'm curious to see what they're going to reveal at Celebration.
You can't argue with the quality. That like
Yeah.
the last purchase I got from them was the Thrawn reversible jacket,
Ooh.
and it was just beautiful.
Mhm.
Genuinely, really good quality, super comfortable, and just hopefully they do eventually start shipping to Ireland.
I think they will expand their international footprint for sure because they're doing so well here in America. And then the next step is they have to get into like pants, shorts, socks, other categories. Because at some point you're going to run out of people to sell polos to, right? Like that's
Yeah.
always the tricky thing. So they need to expand, kind of the way Her Universe started with a T-shirt and then dresses and then this, and now they're in everything with all those licenses. I think that they're going to have to go vertically into different categories and while expanding their licenses.
I have spent so much money with Stance. I don't even want to talk about this one. You can take it. They've taken so much of my money.
Oh boy. And they're an official partner of MLB. So when I was at Topps, Stance and Topps had some partnerships together. Because when I think socks, like licensed product socks, like they're the only brand name that actually comes to mind. Unless you're shopping like Fruit of the Loom or Hanes, which are just like everyday socks. Things like this that are actually like dedicated purchases that I want to get this design. Stance is the one that comes to mind. They also have excellent quality. I can't compare them to Rock'em Sock'em. And again, we're going to need to see that slap fight. But I think there's room for both. And I've been a fan of Stance for a long time as well. I have a few of their Star Wars sets from like probably when they first got the license 10 years ago. I think they were a Disney licensee. Like they came on like with the Disney acquisition, if I'm remembering correctly.
Yeah, a number of years ago, I got one of their SDCC exclusive packs, and again, costly, but when the quality of the product is such, you can't argue with the price.
Yeah. This one is the Star Wars Nano Club. So they're going to have an exhibit of Star Wars and Japanese clothing, a wide variety, as well as a wide variety of artworks, including Hakoshi. I shouldn't even try the names. I'm so bad at pronunciation. Kashushika. We're going to have the Falcon, Vader, Troopers. They didn't have a website on their list, but they're going to have a bunch of jackets on display as well. So again, this is another local flavor must do. We should have put a star. I should have put a star next to everyone that was like Japanese specific, being like, print this out. I'm going to see if we can post this PDF onto the Facebook page so everyone can use this as your vendor guide and just identify the ones that are like specifically Japanese, because it'll be your one chance to meet these people and go see what their product is all about. And that's when you got to set up your shipping container to get all your stuff home. Because I know that's where I would spend my money.
This is another pop-up store.
Yeah. So this is not the official Star Wars store. This is like another pop-up, and it was very confusing to me because it's a Star Wars pop-up store, but it is
My
not.
small
I think,
planet.
yeah, like it's not the official one from Celebration. So I don't know how it's different. My assumption is that it's not going to stock any exclusives. It's just going to be a mix of merchandise, I guess. I don't know.
This could be the luck of the draw with this one.
Yeah, and maybe it's Japanese specific vendors. Like that's how I would do it, but it doesn't say that in the description. So
No, but
Celebration website, give us more
the
information, please.
but the website listed is .jp. So
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So that's why I was surprised. Look, there are times. Look, we did our due diligence over here, and at one point I was like, if I'm spending more than 10 minutes trying to investigate this place, like they owe us more information. I can't solve this murder mystery.
well, this one you might have to fill me in on. No idea.
So yeah, I went online and checked this out. It looks like, I mean, they're describing it as Star Wars and baseball coming together. So photo ops and other things are going to be happening at the booth. I don't know how this combines because when I was at Topps, they didn't let us do things like this. Like, because you know how baseball games have like May the 4th at like nights and stuff. We weren't really able to combine things there. So I'm curious to see again another Japanese specific vendor to go check out in person and see what they're doing. I think you'll be able to take a picture in like a photo card frame or something like that, but they don't actually say that in the detail. No one filled this out correctly. I will say across the board, I don't think one brand in particular did a good job explaining who they are and then what they're doing at Celebration. It's very few and far between of people explaining who we are as a brand, what type of products we have, and what are we doing specifically at Celebration. 3 bullets. Bam. Why is it
Maybe
so hard?
that's by design in this case, that they're hoping to draw people in as opposed to just giving the whole game away. Although
I
if they
don't
would give a
know.
little bit of the game away, that
A
would be
little
nice.
bit. Yeah. We're this type of company. We do these types of products. We're going to have some type of exclusive merch. Like you can keep it vague. Be like, hey, we specialize in collectible statues. We've been around since 1997 and we're based in Japan. And at Celebration, we're going to announce a pre-order on Saturday. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Here we go. This one at least has some bullets. So
Tenyo.
Tenyo, I didn't know about either. Another Japanese specific
You know
company.
what's those bags look kind of familiar. We have some sort of anime / Japanese style vendors at Dublin Comic Con, so they sort of look like this. So I wouldn't be surprised if maybe they come from Tenyo. Just the design and the art style looks very, very similar. So, and a lot of people do be buying them. So I would maybe, if I was hedging my bets, I'd say good quality potentially. So
Yeah.
might be an interesting one to check out.
They're in interesting categories too, because it's like these bags and then jigsaw puzzles, framed wall art. It feels very hodgepodge to me, but maybe they're like, the textile manufacturer from earlier. Maybe they specialize in a particular substrate material. Like
Hmm.
Japan is I still think of them as being like a very manufacturing heavy kind of country. So it's possible that once you know how to work in a particular material, you can like bang out all these types of things. Tapestries are not that far off from the bags if they're made of the same type of material. I don't know. So,
And exhibiting manufacturer of the pin badge program.
mhm. Yeah, so they have pins of some type. So we have to we need a bingo card of like who's Japanese specific, who has pins. So that and then who has exclusives announced. That's the other thing. So those are
Hmm.
really the three buckets. So I think for our next show we'll follow up with some of that information and create a list for everyone because if I'm going and I'm not going, but if I were going, you'd have to do the Japanese specific vendors first and foremost. You can visit Lego any other day, right? Like, and you can go to your local Walmart and buy all the Lego to your heart's content, but you can't go find Takahara Tommy. Like, they don't exist here, and their stuff is slightly different than what we make, it seems, right? Like, I mean, I would guess.
I never thought I'd be seeing Beyblade at Star Wars Celebration, but there you go.
Yeah, by the way, I think as much, and this comes back to the descriptions, right? As a company, they make Beyblade and whatever else, but at Celebration, are they going to be showcasing their stormtroopers and whatever else? Because they can't show stuff other than Star Wars, is my understanding. So,
The only
I
thing, the
don't know.
interesting thing with this is this the only one that I've seen advertised that they'll be doing plushies?
Oh yeah, where's all the plush vendors? It's interesting because I feel like Japan is so known for plush. Like they love cute, like all that kind of. Now,
Jellycat and things like that.
yeah, we're going to generalize the entire country now, but yes, they love plush.
I would have
And
expected to see a lot more.
cute minifigures and blind bag collectibles.
Hmm.
Maybe that's specific to the anime properties, and that doesn't translate into Star Wars for them. But like maybe Star Wars exists in a separate kind of slice that they don't do that execution. Maybe I don't know. But I'm surprised that we're not seeing more of that.
Yeah, likewise.
All right, I'll talk about Tops since this was where I lived forever. They're coming to Japan, and from what I can tell, they're going to have some exclusive products, and you can earn prizes in the app. Obviously, the app is like their big thing. So every time they do an execution at Celebration, it's usually around the digital trading card app, which is still going. I remember that launch in like
Yeah, I still use
2015,
it.
16. Like I gave up a long time ago because once you're too close to it, it's like I can't keep doing this. And you work on cards for such a long time, but I still keep up with what their releases are. I'm curious to see if they'll have an exclusive card set for sale as well. And I like the fact that they're going to have daily missions. My assumption is it'll be scavenger hunt related. They love a scavenger hunt at Tops, which I did as well when I was there. So that was great. And testing your knowledge is obviously like trivia driven, right? So again, they've been a licensee since 77. So don't sleep on this one just because it's not a Japanese specific licensee. I would make them a destination on your list as well.
And with Tops, things go fast. So if
Yeah.
you are undecided about purchasing something, just do it, because 9 times out of 10, if you walk away, the person behind you is going to snap it up. I mean, from what I remember in Orlando, it sold out like very, very quickly. Was that when they had
Mm.
the exclusive? Remember, the exclusive was at the 4 sets, and it just went
Oh, we
like
did
that.
that a few times over, but the Orlando show is like specifically gives me PTSD because I was working the store for like the first half a day, and then I went to talent wrangling after that. So, but the store was a hot mess.
Yeah.
We were just so overwhelming in 2017. But every time I've been at a convention with Topps, which was San Diego Comic Con, Celebration, New York Comic Con, and I was there for 6 years. I probably did just about 20 shows with Topps, plus the National Trading Card Convention event. I don't think there were times I came back where we either didn't sell out or had so little left that, like, you ship back almost nothing. You ship back the booth and no product. And that's across all our brands. It was Star Wars, it was Garbage Pail Kids. Like, it's still somehow in huge demand all these years later,
And the booth is never not busy. It's just a constant
Yeah.
stream of people.
I don't know who's going. I wish I knew like who from the Topps team is going, because I still know a few of the people from over there, but I don't know if they're using someone. We actually have an office in Asia, so I don't know if someone from the Asia office is going or someone from the UK. But if it turns out I know the person going, I will have them be on the lookout for you, because I still keep in touch with a few of the people
Mhm.
from Topps. Up next is Toy Tokyo. So this is actually what I was saying earlier. This is an East Village based retail store, but they get imported items from
From J-
Japan, right? So this is where if you go there, it's basically like shopping in Japan. So Toy Tokyo is going back to the homeland, right? So I don't know anything about the owner of this store. Like, maybe he is Japanese and set up a store in New York City, knowing we have a very engaged audience for all things anime. We have a very large Asian population in New York. Like, it is a destination. I actually know this store. I'm pretty sure I've been there as well, but we have so many of that ilk in New York City. So I'm sure that this is definitely a destination, though, because it is a Japanese company for sure.
More pins.
Yes, this is definitely for you. Exclusive pins and a whole bunch of other licensed collectibles as well. Like, they're really fun, Twink. Like, they've got some really cute stuff, and they have a ton of licenses. I was surprised. They have Hello Kitty, they have Geeky Tiki's, they have Doctor Who. Like, there's a bunch of different fun stuff.
Geeky Tiki is just Geeky's just always sell out. I remember the year that Falcon set came out along with the Jawa Sandcrawler,
hmm
and resale value very, very pricey.
Yeah, I bought a Jabba the Hutt for my husband with a little Bib Fortuna shot
But
glass.
yeah, yeah.
That's his favorite, which I'm sure you've got a Jabba, right?
Plenty, but costly. And again, that's
Yeah.
probably another one. If it's on your list, things are gonna sell out ultra quick.
So the next one, I was trying to unlock the mystery as to what Tracol is, an innovative business brand that combines Japan's manufacturing expertise with pop culture heritage, such as animation, sci-fi. The fusion creates a new charm and value. It doesn't tell you what category they're in, right? Like, this wasn't clear to me. I went to the website, I found this one picture. It looks like a printed flat. I don't know. So you have to go visit, but again, descriptions on the website, guys. If I was the person working at ReadPop who received this as a description, I would write back to them, what categories do you manufacture? Can you send me some pictures of products so I understand more about your company? What will you have available at Celebration? Like, all of that seems to be missing. This feels like a really like poorly worded mission statement, as opposed to an explanation as to what they do.
Yeah, looking at that there, that could be like an A4 card portfolio holder to a passport cover
Yeah.
or something. You
It
just
could be
don't know.
paper, it could be metal. I don't know what it is. So
Mhm.
again, go visit them, go check it out. I feel like don't get annoyed by the lost in translation. I know I as I was doing my research, I was, but in real life, I want to meet all of these people and see what they're all about, because this is your shot to do it. Up next is Universal Music. Again, listed out of order alphabetically on the website. They have it under like Star Wars music or something, but they're releasing this really awesome CD set of all the soundtracks to the 11 live action movies. So it wasn't clear to me where this was actually happening, if they're actually getting their own booth or something, or if it's part of the official Star Wars store. But be on the lookout for this, because they're listed as a vendor separately on the website. So I assume that Universal Music has a booth.
I would assume so, because something like this, if it was mentioned on the Celebration store, it would be everywhere. And I don't think I've seen this being advertised in too many spaces on the web.
Yep. And I assume it's probably only in Japan, because in America, we don't, like, CDs have fallen out of favor physical media is on the outs, except in highly collector spaces and vinyl in particular.
Hmm.
So this doesn't really fit the American aesthetic for music right now, but it would make sense for a Star Wars collector. So it might
Yeah.
only be available in that geography. So definitely
Hmm.
try to hunt this down. I think this is going to be a must-have collectible 10 years from now.
Had never heard of this one, had you? And I'm not familiar with David Nakayama.
Mm-mm. I wasn't either. It looks like they've got, they're not a manufacturer, but they are a comic book store. And so it looks like they're going to have some artist signings at their booth or drawings or whatever. And they have a bunch of Star Wars comics for sale on their website. So I would give them I would give them a visit, see what it's like to have a comic book store in Japan. What do they stock? They may have back issues of comics that you're looking for that we can't find here in America.
If I
So
was
that could be
if I was
interesting.
guessing, I'd say that artist has maybe done some variants of the comic covers. So if you're looking for something rare and something different, that might be another one to jump on.
Yeah, absolutely. Next up was Usagi Publishing, which, of course, anytime I hear the word Usagi, I think Sailor Moon. They've got a couple books out. They're both postcard books. So again, I don't think you'll find these in America. Publishing is another one where things get published by geography, don't always make it internationally. Postcard books are, I think, highly translatable, right? Like it's mostly image. So those would be really
Highly
fun. You could send
collectible too.
people that, or if you want to use them, you can send people postcards from Japan from the
Hmm.
book. But yeah, I think they're likely going to be a collectible more than anything. Us Star Wars fans, we are straight out of that like SNL skit of Bobby Moynihan with the like sliding the glass of the Force Awakens, being like, keep one in the case. We're those people who will never open this book.
And it's actually nice that they actually do give the sizing, the specs, so people can actually work out whether they've got room for them. The only thing
Yeah.
I notice is, does it actually it doesn't actually give the weight of them, which usually you would expect to see. But what are
Mm.
we talking? 132 by 188. Not too big, I don't think. Not too hefty.
I think they'll be okay. Yeah, I've got a couple books over here that could qualify as a deadly weapon. In the those Star Wars books get a little out of control. But I think everyone just needs to be mentally prepared to ship product back to themselves via the post, as opposed to putting stuff in their luggage. All right. This is obviously Blockbuster Video, right? Like, I looked at this and I was like, that's Blockbuster. And I Googled them online. The website doesn't work. I think that's the 7th website that doesn't work on this site when I clicked it. That's why I put a website coming soon. And when I Googled it, it just told me the translation of the word, which basically means nostalgia. My assumption, based on what I'm reading here, is that they're a t shirt company that's going to have vintage logos. Fine. But like, where's your example of a Star Wars item? What categories are you actually in? Like, why doesn't your website work? Like, this is the stuff that makes me crazy. And I'm like, again, read pop. The 30 seconds of time. Like, we spent an hour and a half doing this, right, Gary? Like, to go through each one, I can't imagine it would take longer than that to vet every single one of these, make sure the translations make sense, make sure the website functions, get better logos, make sure the names line up to the logos. There was at least 3 of them. They were like the logos and the names don't quite match up. The alphabetical order doesn't make sense. Bad descriptions of product categories. Their booth numbers are not listed anywhere on here, which is why they're not in our presentation. I wasn't
Hmm.
about to chase that down on the map. Like,
No.
that's an all-day affair. Like, this is the kind of stuff that just makes me crazy. So
But I mean, God forbid logic and common sense comes into the equation. I mean, Mark, you're a licensee. You know all about, advertising and getting the product out there. Surely there had to have been some minimum, as in non-negotiable requirements for
mhm,
actually filling in an application, as in minimum standards of the what, where, who, how, why, and when. And there seems to be so much
mhm.
individual variation from each
Yep.
vendor. It's crazy. There's no
I
standardization.
No, I will tell you what the minimum requirement is. You have to fill out your name and you have to pay them by credit card by a certain date. Everything else they will solve after the fact, and then it largely doesn't get solved. And look, I understand that. I actually, so breaking news, and I think I've shared this with other people. Denuo Nova will be at San Diego Comic Con, which is very exciting. But my paperwork was very late. And so they very graciously allowed me to fill out a portion of information, and I will come back at a later time with information. Please, I hope I remember to do a better job filling out what we will be doing at Star Wars at San Diego Comic Con when I know what we will be doing at San Diego Comic-Con. So I see how these things happen, right? Like someone very busy at this place, copy and pasted, poorly translated, but again, translation, right? Like copy and pasted what their company is, and they're probably like, oh, our website will be live in time for the event, not realizing that like we're doing a show like this, being like, who are these people? What do they do? Why are we so annoyed? I've literally been on the other end of this where I'm like, I got nothing to tell you. And I know that we're going to be attending the show and I've got no details yet. I don't know what we're going to have as a promotion. I don't know what our new product's going to be. Here's our shitty logo and no other information. Right? Like I get it. It's just amazing to me that we are 20 days out and there is still incomplete information.
I think that's what it is.
Yeah. Within 30 days of the show, this should all be sorted. That's the kind of thing that's, making me crazy.
Yoshito.
Do you know these guys? Because I didn't.
Founded over 300 years ago, which is pretty cool. And armor decorations. Japanese original stuffed toys.
Yeah, their website's interesting. And they've got some samurai-inspired Vader stuff, which seems to be a trope in Star Wars. Of course, because Star Wars is basically an extension of a samurai tale. But like they let you play with Vader as a samurai in a variety of executions. Like it's one of the few characters where they really let you go wild because he's so recognizable and well known that Disney doesn't really have a problem with that. So they make some great stuff.
That just makes me think of like Kotobukiya.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. So yeah, that's our last vendor, and I think it ended on a great one with seeing like this is what I think Star Wars Celebration is most about, right? The infusion of local flavor into the franchise, into something that is like recognizable but different, interesting. You can kind of only get it here, and it's why this is why Star Wars has been such a globally recognized and loved brand for so long because you're able to do stuff like this. Like there's Vader as a samurai. That's really cool.
Yeah, and if that's a diorama or a collectible, pretty sweet too.
Yeah, no, I love it. All right, that was every vendors. And apologies for my little rant about how many of them are just not filled out to my liking. Many of them did a great job and look like they have great products. And as we said, there are some that are Japanese specific that you must visit because you'll never be able to see them again. Like they're not going to be in America. They're not going to be in Ireland. They're not going to be in Europe. They will only be at this show potentially or in Japan. So it's the kind of thing where like Yoshido is like a must visit.
Yeah, absolutely. But again, hopefully, as we get closer, I don't know how much closer we're going to get until everything is updated, but hopefully we'll get an idea of their booth numbers, their location in a more accessible way so that people can actually plan their day. Because newsflash, getting around the vendor floors and Artist Alley is not always the easiest thing to do when you have a couple of thousand people who are trying to do the exact same thing you are.
I told someone that on my must-have list of items for Celebration, because of the walking around and all that kind of stuff, like comfortable shoes and hydration, all that kind of stuff, I was like, Xanax is on the list. Like you really have to like help yourself come down from like the anxiety of it all because it is super overwhelming. I will say it is 50,000 attendees or something like that, and the amount of space is actually like quite expansive. It's just it gets filled up with stuff and vendors and this and that and everything. So there are places where it can feel really crowded, but it's just like everyone wants to do everything and it's very overwhelming. So you really have to plot a course and then recognize that like it's going to change based on availability of the panel you're going to, the photo op you're doing, how long you're going to take to buy something. Maybe you're in line at a vendor. They may have like a lottery to buy something at Lego and you're number 50 in line. You'll spend an hour at the Lego booth potentially. So, yeah.
Well, hopefully, depending on the vendors, if there are exclusive, that the limit per person is enough to make sure that there's enough to go around. But unfortunately, I don't think that's going to be the case. But in an ideal world, let's be positive and say that's the plan.
Yeah, it's always tough to make that work, right? Because some people are only there on certain days. Some people want to buy for friends. No, I totally get it. We've always struggled with that at Tops and wherever else, where it's like, oh, we're holding those for Sunday, and then no one shows up on Sunday. It's like, oh, we could have sold them on Saturday, like that kind of thing. It's tricky. But look, like we said at the top of the show, you're going to have a great time. If you bought your ticket to Celebration, it's it is not just like a moment in time. It's one of those things that you keep coming back to memory wise and treasure it over and over again. Every event that I went to, whether it was Anaheim in 15, Anaheim in 22, London in 23, Orlando in 17, despite my PTSD, and my favorite of all time, Celebration 19, Chicago, which again was a career high for me. They all have different memories and different great experiences with friends, not just panels, not just meeting celebrities, but the time you spend shopping, stealing the Death Star as I did. Or I guess I paid for it, so I didn't really steal it, but it was a covert operation. Hanging out with friends, going to events after hours, like our Not So event and everything else. Like it is going to be life changing for people, and you're going to make new friends. I keep up with so many people who I met in London for the first time who are now Instagram friends, and we still message. And through the VCN, I see regularly, and probably see me regularly being on air like this.
Hmm.
So everyone there is going to have a great time. Please spend some time checking out the Japanese specific vendors, if no one else. If you're going to just like walk the floor and do a little bit of like even just window shopping, swing by the Yoshidos of the world and see what's going on over there.
Yeah, don't let the panel stuff get you down, because
Yeah.
Celebration is so much more than just
Hmm.
sitting in a room for 45 minutes looking at a little thing that, let's be honest, with you being in the room, it's going to be broadcast elsewhere. So it's not
Yeah.
like it's highly exclusive that you won't get to see it or know exactly sort of what's going on.
I was going to say there are overflow rooms for the main
Hmm.
panels, and
Yeah.
then everything's going to be streamed online anyway for the most part. Even the small scale panels, um, everyone is now very savvy. They will have someone recording on a phone. So even if you want to go to like a small scale fan panel and you're worried about it selling out, we couldn't get into the Star Wars Explained panel in London in 2023, and I specifically took my break during that time because I wanted to go. They had a wraparound line out the door and exceeded the capacity of the room. That's a fan site, right? And I was like, oh my God, like the one panel I was going to go to was the one too crowded. So that kind of thing, you know what? Someone recorded it. And it was the kind of thing where we were able to watch it at a later time. So
Yeah, you'll never
that
truly miss out.
no, exactly. Everything's going to be well documented, especially as we all have phones like this. The VCN is going to be doing wall to wall coverage. We will have the Celebration Nightly News Desk every night, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. 5 straight days of coverage because Japan's a day ahead. So on Thursday, we will be covering the events of Thursday, mostly the not so, really the not so event and whatever else. And then Friday we'll be covering Friday. Saturday we'll be covering Saturday. It's going to be all of that, and then Monday will be a big recap on everything. So with the biggest news. So it's going to be crazy here in America, keeping up with all of that. So you will not miss out on anything, I promise.
Yeah.
All right, Gary, what do you have coming up? We are into almost 2 hours at this point. Holy hell! I knew it was going to take a while to go through these vendors, but I'm ready for a nap.
Yeah, well, you deserve an applause for this. You put most of this together. You know, we both had a look around it, but you were the one that had the misfortune of actually deciding to sit down and
Eh,
put it together. So
I don't mind a PowerPoint.
I'll credit you on that
Yeah.
front. In terms of us, not much Jesus, I say not much going on. We've released 2 episodes this month already, and we're actually going to have 4 episodes this month. So
Ooh.
we've another episode hopefully releasing next Thursday or Friday, and then we released an interview with Judah Escalante last week, and we'll hopefully be releasing part 2 in 2 weeks' time, where that was a completely off-the-cuff interview where we talked about bringing the Mandoverse and the MCU to life. So
Oh.
that'll be an exciting one. Yeah.
That's awesome. I'm way behind on my content. I'm actually behind on the VCN content this week too. It's just been one of those weeks, so I have to catch up on that.
There's just so much going on.
Well, where can everyone follow you and Blob of the Hut? Can you give everyone the social handles?
Yeah, so we're at Blab of the Hut across everything. So whether that's Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, Spotify, yada yada yada, at Blab of the Hut, and you'll find us.
Excellent. And then, of course, for everyone going to the virtual cantina, sorry, the not so virtual cantina event, we just want to thank our sponsor, Hyperspace Props. They make some of the best sabak items in the galaxy. And of course, you can save 10% on your order with the code NSVCSE. That's Not So Virtual Cantina Special Edition. We're so excited about the Not So, and there may even be another piece of news coming on Not So. I don't have, not quite for today, but there's something else a brewing. So in order to keep up with that, make sure that you're following all the VCN social channels. So of course, the Facebook page is all celebration all the time. It's celebration and VCN programming. That's it. And I know there's been other news in the Star Wars front lately. We've been holding on those comments to really keep everything celebration focused. Once we get back from celebration, it'll be back to your regular schedule nonsense. But in that time, keep up with all of our social channels. They're all listed right below. We're most active on Instagram and, of course, on Facebook in the private group. Also, we have a new website that's going to be launching very, very soon, which will be great for anyone who maybe doesn't want to be on Facebook all the time. I totally get that. So you'll still be able to keep up with all the goings, especially all of our events, because we have so much coming up. There's celebration, and then there's going to be a meetup for San Diego Comic-Con. We're obviously heavily involved in the event in Texas for Rebel Scum Con, which is happening in August. There'll be a meetup at New York Comic-Con, and then there's always things like Rhode Island Comic-Con later in the year. There's just a ton coming on the VCN front, and new programming happening, of course, with the premiere of Andor in a month. So I'm too busy over here, Gary.
Yeah,
Help.
we just have way too much going on, but we should cherish it while we have it, because celebration, as we think, maybe it's going to take another year's break, so it might
It
be
should. Yeah.
2027 before we get
It,
anything. So
It should be. It should be a biannual at most. It can't be more frequently than biannually. Like an annual celebration is ridiculous. Like I really think celebration should be every 2 to 3 years, maybe. Like remember when the first one was to celebrate episode 1 or to get ready for episode 1, and then the next one was to celebrate or get ready for episode 2. So it was a 3-year gap or whatever it was. I would like to get back to something like that. Every 2 to 3 years, do 27, and then come back in like 30. Like I think that would be perfectly reasonable. There's not enough content to support an annual convention, at
I
least at
think
this scale.
I think
Let
we're
the
at the
fans do
stage
it.
now where it has to be quality over quantity. The exact same goes for the big screen, small screen, and everything within Star Wars universe. Quality
Yeah,
over quantity.
100% agree. Well, with that in mind, we hope everyone is ready for celebration, excited about going to Japan. And if you're not going to Japan, like we said, we have you covered. There's so much happening on the network. Follow the news on the Facebook page, follow us on our social channels, and of course, tune in for all the other content that's happening. Clone Wars Revisited, we are rewatching the micro series right now. It is stupid
Beautiful.
fun. It is such a blast. We've got a new episode of the Nerf Herders from last week, Daughters of the Galaxy coming up this week. The Thursday Night Watch Along, they are rewatching Andor Season 1, getting ready for Andor Season 2. And of course, we have Jedi Archives and the Unifying Force. And then, of course, with Andor coming back, there's going to be so much programming. So it's going to be a great time on the network. All right. Thank you guys so much for joining us. We will see you next Saturday for another edition of the Celebration News Desk. We're going to cover the exclusive products that are revealed, the artists that are attending the show, as well as other little hidden gems like special events. I'm hearing details now about when they're going to be doing the Prisoner run from Andor, the Ice Cream Man run, and a few other things are getting scheduled. We know the date and time of the VCN family portrait. There are things like that that we want you to be ready for Japan that are not listed out on the Celebration website that we're going to keep you all in the know for.
And probably a good opportunity if anybody has some questions that they want to think about asking us as we get closer. That's probably a show where we would have an opportunity to answer a good few of them.
Yeah, we'll definitely have some hefty Q&A on that one.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you guys again for joining. Follow us on all the social channels, like I mentioned. Tune back in next Saturday for me and Gary again. And of course, enjoy everything happening on the VCN this week. We will see you next Saturday. And as always, may the force be with you.